One small airline offers international pilots the chance to fly in the skies of Indonesia. A vast country of 17,000 islands that stretches across 3 time zones. It's one of the final frontiers of aviation, with many regions populated by remote tribal people. Susi Air provides a vital link to isolated communities. Today, 34-year-old Matt Dearden is flying to Bay to check out whether a runway is safe to land on.
You can see the airfield now coming up on the left-hand side. All do is we'll fly overhead and fly down the runway.
It's been closed for the past 6 months, preventing the delivery of supplies to the local tribespeople.
I can certainly see they put some work in there. It's a lot darker along the sort of section that's had a lot of problems. They chopped the tree down, which is right at the beginning of that runway. There was a big tree right on the approach, which, yeah, that's not ideal. Yeah, I think we'll be okay for landing here, so...
Matt has decided it's safe to land. But having been unused for 6 months, he can't be sure what kind of a landing he's in for.
That is significantly better than it has been. No problems with direction control there at all. So we'll walk the strip and we'll double check. But yeah, it's certainly looking a massive improvement on the last device here.
Today, Matt's not making any deliveries. He's here to make sure the runway is safe for Susi airplanes to land on.
Pretty impressive, the work they've done here. You can see these big drainage ditches down the side, which must take them a while because they got no machinery here. These guys are just going to be digging it with hand tools. You know.
Selamat pagi, Pak
Selamat pagi, Bapak. Apa kabar?
Pak Pilot, hormat. Belajar, sebab Bapak datang Bay, Ambolongo. Sudah, jawaban kembali juga.
Oke.
Ambolongo.
Amalongo.
Iya, betul. Ambolongo. Belajar, Ambolongo.
Amalongo.
Iya, betul.
Okay, Amalongo.
Iya, betul.
Okay, so
Datang.
Amalongo.
Iya,
Apparently,
betul.
hello in the local language.
Dia ka Bay itu turun tuh Ambolongo. Begitu selamat itu Ambolongo.
Amalongo.
Iya, betul. Pak Pilot hormat begitu.
So Amalongo is apparently
Yeah.
hello in the local language here in Bay and in
Dioga.
It's
Ambolongo.
pretty typical to have different languages in each
Nerege.
villages here. So he's still teaching me other words, so I'll just stick with Amalongo and we'll go with that for now. It's yeah, it's always cool to learn another language.
Kenapa bisa?
With the inspection complete and Matt satisfied, it means the runway can be reopened to Susi Air. Something the locals have been waiting a long time for.
Susah pelapangan dibuang tapi
Susah
Tuhan.
sekali ya. Berapa orang kerja di sini? Banyak?
Oh banyak, seluruh 11 kampung.
Serius?
11 serius semua.
Okay.
Ini
He's saying we've got 11 villages in the area, plus I think 19 churches. The people came to help work on this runway because they're so keen to get it open. You know, it's like a lifeline for these guys to have this in a condition where we can actually land again. It's great for these guys, you know. And it's been about 6 months since they've actually had any proper cargo or anything coming in here. So yeah, I think they're all pretty excited. Which is, yeah, it's cool. It makes me excited as well because it means we can come here. Which I like this runway. It's it's a little bit more challenging than some of the other ones. Yeah, it's good all round.
Matt will be returning with a plane full of cargo in a few days' time, and he's hoping for a warm welcome.
Once we get the first cargo flight into here, or people, then yeah, I suspect it's going to be quite a bit of a celebration for these guys, and yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people up on the runway here or watching that airplane coming in, and you never know, I might get presented with a cockerel or whoever lands in here. It's pretty common for an airfield that's been closed for a long time or a new route that's got opened, for them to do that. It's a sort of token of their appreciation, and yeah, it's wonderful to see. Oke, makasih semua ya. Sampai jumpa kembali ya.
Terima kasih Bapak. Oke, Pak Pilot. Beliau dua hormat.
Being a pilot in Indonesia is high risk. Unpredictable weather systems and active volcanoes make it one of the deadliest environments to fly in the world. With 268 aviation fatalities in the last 5 years. Today, Captain Russell Whitbread is flying passengers from Medan to Singkil. But conditions are far from ideal as a nearby volcano is erupting.
Today we're going off to a place called Singkil. It's over on the west coast of Sumatra. We get a nice view of Mt Cinnabon volcano. It is currently still erupting. The winds are blowing to the north, so we'll go to the south of the volcano.
It's something Russell and his fellow pilots are all too familiar with.
Indonesia itself is known as the Pacific Ring of Fire because of how many volcanoes it has. So there's an awful lot of volcanoes erupting ever so often. Only last week one erupted in Java to a much bigger extent. But this one here has been erupting now on and off for 3 months. It's been causing a lot of trouble. Some days, depending on wind, it will actually blow all the way over to Medan itself. And we've even come to the airport on certain days and found volcanic ash on the aircraft.
And heavy smog covering much of their path means there's even more to worry about.
Obviously it makes our job much more tricky. We're flying along, obviously we're a visual operator, we're meant to be flying in visual conditions. And we are flying in visual conditions, but they're just really restricted. So it makes our job a lot harder. Obviously the best thing to do if there is a volcano erupting is not to fly.
It's important to avoid the ash because it doesn't mix well with aeroplane engines.
The volcanic ash obviously just clogs up the engine. The deposits itself can actually block the fan blades and therefore physically just jam the engine up as well. So you could actually have what's called a flame out and therefore your engine just stops working.
If you look out this way, you've got the cloud popping through, and then you've got some like trails coming from it. Yeah, so basically all of that there is the volcano region. But it seems like it's getting worse and worse. Yeah, it's not getting better.
With active volcanoes a common risk, the pilots have to make sure they know what they're dealing with.
Yeah, so this is only a couple of weeks ago before the pollution got quite bad. So you can see, obviously, this is the volcano. All the stuff is being blown, in this case, to the south. So you can see where the lava flows were going down.
And it's not just the engines that take a battering.
Volcanoes, they produce sulfur. Never one of your friends has done a lovely fart. Would be that lovely eggy smell you can have. So yeah, so whenever you smell that we describe it as an eggy smell, but it's obviously the sulfur from the volcano that you can smell. So it gets carried on the wind. So we're currently about 15 miles away, and you can actually smell a bit of the sulfur already.
Russell's negotiated both the smog and the volcanic ash safely. But he's keen to get a better view of one of Indonesia's many active volcanoes. Russell has joined Captain Dave Burns and some other Susi Air pilots on a trip to get a closer look at the volcano on Mt Cinnabon. It's been erupting on and off for the last 6 weeks, making flying in the area extra difficult.
Obviously when we're flying we only get a brief look quite often, and quite often it's covered in cloud as well. It can be dangerous. Only recently 16 people died on one day due to it was a huge eruption, and basically they couldn't outrun it. They were on motorbikes and they couldn't even outrun it. So yes, it can be dangerous. So we do have to obviously proceed with caution.
see, you don't get to appreciate this from the air really, because top of the volcano is covered by cloud, and that's all we really see from the air unless we're really lucky on some days. So you don't actually get to see what's below the cloud, so it's actually nice to come and have a bit of an explore.
When I was here last, this whole area here was just completely covered in ash. You wouldn't see any green at all.
Very nice, man. Just standing there, all majestic.
Can I borrow those binoculars? Untuk hanya 2 minutes, ya? 2 minutes. It's still smoking at the moment, which is mainly sulfur gas coming out of the volcano. But you can actually see down the center of the mountain where the lava has flowed down in a big lava flow.
The recent eruption has left the local area devastated, with homes and businesses ruined and buildings left empty.
Some people have probably died in this village. Who knows whether these shops and houses will ever be lived in again, because the government has made these people move out the houses. And for some bizarre reason, I'm standing here. We just heard something come out of the volcano, so
Everyone's a little bit jumpy.
the only things in this little village are dogs and flies, really. And after hearing the volcano start grumbling, I think it might be a good idea to leave. So I'll have to go.
It's been a sobering experience and a very real reminder of the dangers of flying and living in Indonesia. Despite the risks, flying with Susi Air provides pilots with an opportunity to rack up the flying hours they need to apply for jobs back in Europe. Pilot Freddie Franson has been flying with Susi Air for over 2 years, but will be moving on in 1 week's time.
Yeah, exciting news indeed. After 2 years and a half in Susi Air, it's time to move on. And I got a job managed to pass all the interview for a job in Luxembourg. So, yeah, new start coming up.
He's managed to land one of the rare positions at a European airline.
Susi Air is a stepping stone, but now it's just time to move on to something flying a bit quicker and higher.
Let's do it. Let's get the job done.
Today, Freddie is flying passengers from Medan to Simalu.
We clear on the left.
And he's feeling excited about the challenge his new job offers.
Most of us, we have the dream of flying those jets. Some of them want to fly the big 320, the Airbus. Some of them want to fly some the private jet industry or medevac, small jets, big jets, turboprop. But yeah, most of us, we are aiming for bigger planes.
Although Freddie has landed a top job in Europe, with this flight he's not quite home and dry. An unexpected weather front has blown in over the airport, blocking their vision of the runway.
Okay, currently we got thunderstorm above the airport, 700 meters visibility with rain.
Due to the weather condition, we'll experience slight turbulence for a few minutes. Please make sure your seatbelts are fastened and your luggage stowed under your seat. Thank you.
You need to be able to see ahead of you for a landing. It's pretty dangerous. You should not push the limits too far because the worst case is just a crash. We don't want to crash.
Although Susi Air operates in visual flying conditions,
Not a great visibility.
sometimes the fast-changing weather means they have no option but to fly through the cloud.
Currently we have 1,000 pounds of fuel. 900 pounds of fuel we'll have to RTB. So now we're just holding above the ocean.
Freddie is under pressure to either commit to a low visibility landing or return to base. He has to decide soon, otherwise risk running out of fuel.
I'm starting to see the island ahead. Yeah.
With a small opening in the clouds, Freddie goes for a landing.
Okay, let's get prepared and flap stand, please. Speed from here. Okay, welcome to sunny Similu. Not that sunny today, eh?
Freddie's navigated the landing safely. But on the runway, there's a new obstacle.
Oh no! Somebody puked. It's like all over the... Oh no!
It's not just passengers that Susi Air deliver. Matt Dearden recently visited a runway in Wangbe on the island of Papua to check if it was safe to land on. Having given it the all clear, today Matt is delivering some unusually named cargo.
This is actually now our first flight into Wangbe officially with actual cargo. We got a full plane of semen, which is the Indonesian word for cement. So it's kind of funny just taking 800 kgs of semen in the plane. Hopefully the people will be there and they'll be pretty excited that we're in there. A bit of a fanfare. I guess we'll wait and see when we get there.
Oh yeah, you can really feel the weight of all that semen in the back. My God.
And he's the first pilot to land there for 6 months. He's hoping he'll get a warm welcome from the locals.
When we've gone into an airstrip that's potentially been closed for a long time, often the locals actually like to have a bit of a celebration, so they'll all sort of come out from the village there and greet the aeroplane. In fact, the last time I was presented with a chicken, a large cockerel. It's quite a big honour actually. I mean, it's a mighty cockerel, and for these people, they don't have a lot, they pretty much survive just on vegetables and things. So, to be presented with this big cock is it's quite an honour, I guess. I kind of kept him for one night outside the house there, but yeah, he's pretty damn noisy. He made a lot of noise. So the next day we had him for dinner.
Despite having high hopes he'll receive another cockerel, Matt can never afford to relax. In Papua, you're only one mistake away from disaster.
Actually amazing how high the trees grow. So it does make you think, if you get an engine failure out here, there's not many landing options, We've got a little bit of a grassy area here, but once you start getting down into the lower valleys there, they're just like V-shapes, trees and a river in the middle. Really limited options. A lot of people say you kind of go towards the slope and try and land up the slope and use that sort of upward climb as to lose the speed and then sort of land onto the trees that way. But no one's really ever done it, so all theory. Just got to kind of hope for a nice little flat patch somewhere in the bottom of a valley.
But unfortunately, Matt's welcome party and chances of flying home with a chicken are few and far between.
Sadly, it looks like there's absolutely no one on the ground there. Absolutely empty. Looks like it's just me and a whole lot of cement to unload. Oh well. I can't believe it. Nobody here, really? Oh, I'm just going to go for the beginning of the runway here.
Disappointed, Matt touches down safely.
That's still good, that braking action's so much better. Before when you touch down, sometimes the slope on the runway would start pulling you off to the side. But now today, absolutely no problems at all with braking, so we can just use the brakes as normal. And even turning around here, absolutely no problems. I got stuck many times just trying to swing it around there with the ground being too wet. Look at that, bang down the middle, look at those tracks. Doesn't get better. That's what we strive for, perfection.
At least the cargo is warmly received.
Ada banyak semen untuk kita.
Apa?
Semen banyak.
Ya.
And there's a good reason the welcome party wasn't as big as Matt would have liked.
Mereka pikir tidak ada pesawat.
He's saying the word didn't get out to the aircraft to come in, so pretty much the first they knew was us circling overhead and then landing, so there's nobody here. Typical out here. I mean, communications is it's a hard thing to do, you know. You can't really call someone up on a cell phone. Places like this are just too remote.
Not too many people, just a whole lot of seamen. Have a day in the jungle, really. Let's get out of here.
He may not have got his big reception, but for Matt, it's just another day's flying in Papua.
Yeah, all that effort they put into making that runway over the months to improve it and everything, and yeah, a bit of an anticlimax really, but oh well, what can you do? Maybe next time there'll be someone there.
Next time, we take a look at the best bits from across the series.
Stall, stall, stall.
Stop doing that. They're saying that the young people here haven't eaten humans before, but the older people here have definitely